we but we got a special guest. So we're gonna talk about the NBA draft. And to get us started, man, we got our guy Nathan from Draft Deeper. He's in the building. Let's get him in. What's going on, Nathan?
How you guys doing?
I'm doing good, man.
What's up, man?
Gotta rep the brand, sir. Gotta rep the brand. We got the Draft Deeper sweatshirt right here.
Yeah.
Gotta rep it. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I see that. I see you over there. Yes, sir. So, the Detroit Pistons gets the number one pick in the 2021 NBA draft. Your thoughts on the Pistons getting the top pick?
It's crazy. I said to somebody before I recorded my Lottery Reactions podcast last night, I was like, is the NBA ready for Detroit to be good again? Is the NBA ready for that? Because we remember those bad boy Pistons teams in the past, and it just has not been the same for Detroit for quite a while. So naturally, I am really happy for them that they got the number one pick. I think if the Houston Rockets would have got the number one overall pick, you would have had those crazy lottery conspiracy theory people coming out all over the place because Cade Cunningham being from Texas, potentially being the number one overall pick. So we quiet those people down a little bit. But yeah, that's going to be an exciting pick for the Detroit Pistons to be able to make, although there's some buzz. Apparently there are some people in the Detroit Pistons organization who like Jalen Green more than Cade Cunningham. So any draft day buzz, sign me up, guys. I'm all for it. Let's get the noise machines going on draft day.
I know that'd be definitely a great storyline for the next 5 weeks. I want that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think Cade's going to be the number one overall pick, though, and I think that he would be a really intriguing fit with the Detroit Pistons because if you look at that starting lineup, what it can be, you have Killian Hayes already there in the backcourt who was drafted last year, 6'5" guard. Cade obviously stands at about 6'8". Then you have Sadiq Bey on the wing, 6'7". Jeremy Grant about 6'8", 6'9", and then Isaiah Stewart being the shout out to Charles Barkley. Isaiah Stewart could be another round mound rebound type guy as well. He's another bull in a china shop type rebounder. So you're talking about a team with legitimate size all over the place, extraordinary positional size. They could give some teams real problems on the defensive end. I don't know how physical of a defensive team they're going to be, but at least as long as they learn how to communicate properly, they're going to be disruptive, playing passing lanes, playing within a team defensive concept. And then, I mean, you guys know what Cade Cunningham brings to the table offensively. There's not really too much more to get into there.
I agree. I just have no confidence in their coach. I think that Dwayne Casey is just not a very good coach.
Not a Dwayne Casey guy?
No, not at all. Not after what I saw, some of the stuff that he did in Toronto. I'm not a big fan of his. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, you bring in another coach. Dwayne Casey's probably going to have another few years to work with the team if they don't see the results that they want to see with him. Yeah. You know, they can swap out the coach. But the talent is going to be there, and that's exciting for Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something to cheer for in downtown Detroit. So,
yes, sir. It ain't going to be for the Lions, that's for sure. So, might as well give it something.
Absolutely.
Not a Jared Goff fan.
so I not to get too off topic from the draft, but I have defended Jared Goff multiple times in private circles. I'm not a Jared Goff hater. I'm not an optimist, but I wouldn't call myself a hater. So.
Okay.
So while they're biting kneecaps in Detroit, they'll be celebrating. There'll be a Cunningham Hayes backcourt and potentially in Detroit. So, if I would ask you about this 2021 class, now we have our iconic classes, 96, 84, 03. What's your overall thoughts on this class of 2021?
You guys are getting a little snapshot sneak preview. It's something that I'll be focusing on my podcast over the coming weeks, which would be my tier system and how I'm actually going to be categorizing these guys, just to give you a perspective in terms of the depth that I think this class has. I have 37 players graded as first-round prospects. So in some years that could be like 2025 guys. You have some fringe second rounders kind of breaking into that first round. Last year was a class that was, I think I probably had a little over 30, but 37 guys who I feel deserve a first round grade. That should be telling to a lot of people about the depth that this class has. We've heard all year long the star power, the top 5, top 6, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, if you have one of those picks, you should be ecstatic. But even if you have one of those later lottery picks all the way through the first round, as long as you're doing your homework on these guys, there's a really solid chance that you can bring in someone who can impact your organization right away. And when I say I have somebody as a first round grade, that means I think that they have like 1.5 to 2 translatable skills where they can earn minutes on the court right away. Maybe not blowing anybody's socks off, but they're at least able to get minutes. And then from there, that's how you really develop other parts of your game, is when you're able to get game experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to know your top 5 prospects in this draft class.
Oh man. So over at Draft Deeper, we don't necessarily do like a consensus, like big board type of approach. I'm trying to stick with more of a tier system, but I'll give you who I think shake out to be my top 4 based on those tiers, and then I'll give you 2 other guys to keep an eye on. So at the top, my top tier would be an MVP caliber player, right? So somebody that you can project onwards. And some years you don't have that type of player in the draft. I think there's 2 guys this year. So we talked about Cade Cunningham potentially being the number 1 overall pick to the Detroit Pistons. I think Jalen Green's also in that class. I have really come on to be a huge Jalen Green guy. I never necessarily got off of his bandwagon, but there's been a lot of buzz for Evan Mobley, who I also like, for Jalen Suggs, who I also like. I have those guys in a tier lower than those first 2, Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green. And I think this is a chance for the Houston Rockets to really do something with that number 2 overall pick. A lot of people would say the safest option would be to go with Evan Mobley, who, don't get me wrong, he's an incredibly mega talented prospect in his own right. But we see time and time again, I'm sure as you guys are watching in the NBA playoffs, it's important to have 2 scorers on the perimeter, right, who can create their own shot as well as create for others. And we saw what Kevin Porter Jr. is capable of doing towards the end of last year when he has his head on straight and he's all locked in, he's bought in. He can be a really, really special talent in this league for years to come, looking like a mini Harden out there. I absolutely love that. And I'm always rooting for that kid. I'm always rooting for people like that. So I want him to excel. But you pair Jalen Green with him on the perimeter. Now you're talking about 2 very explosive 20-plus points per game scorers who can do a variety of different things on the offensive end. So that to me would be great. And then you have Mobley, Suggs in that other tier. I don't see them as MVP caliber players, but definitely like max contract type guys. They'll get to at some point. And then in my 3rd tier, at the top of my 3rd tier, I would have Scotty Barnes, and then I would have Jonathan Kuminga. Those 2 are also going to be big names that you're going to hear a lot about in the coming weeks. So that's kind of like my snapshot of what the top of my 2021 tiers is looking like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like you said, Scotty Barnes is like he's a cheat code. I obviously following the ACC and a Tar Heel guy. He kind of carved us up a couple times. So
I don't know if you guys have caught any of Mike Schmitz's video breakdown yet with Scotty Barnes. I actually just got to watching that some of today, and the fire in his eyes, the competitive spirit, the joyfulness that he has, how intelligent he is as well. Like he was catching on like that to everything that Schmitz was bringing up to him in terms of like a video breakdown. So I love guys who are intelligent, who can communicate well with others, and who have that demeanor where they're going to do whatever it takes to win. And that's exemplified in their play on the court. They don't have to be loud. They don't have to be demonstrative. They don't have to be like Draymond Green or Pat Bev clapping their hands like a million different ways on the court or whatever. But you need to be able to see the passion come through in their game. And yeah, I love all that about Scotty Barnes.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So I'm guessing you're not a big fan of Jason Garrett either.
The clapper, as affectionately called by cousin Sal. Oh my God.
That's my last football reference in basketball talk.
Listen, man, we could keep it going. I'm a big NFL guy. We can keep mixing them in here, whatever you guys want to do.
I have a question for you, actually. Which of these picks do you think has like, and I hate to say this, but like, there's always one that you think has the potential to be a bust. Which one of these like guys that you have graded as the number one pick do you think has like high bust potential?
So to be honest with you, I think if we're going to choose one out of the 6 that I just named, it could be Jonathan Kuminga, just because of how raw he is as a player. He's also relatively new to the game of basketball in terms of playing years. So certainly he's going to need more development than some of these other guys near the top. But if we're talking about like a first round guy who I've been very high on, I consider him one of my guys, but I also see the potential for things to go south, and that's Jalen Johnson out of Duke. We didn't know everything. We still don't know everything, but obviously what transpired in terms of him leaving that team in the middle of the season, that team actually getting better with him off the court. They really, it was one unfortunate COVID strike, but they really had a chance to potentially win that ACC tournament with how they were looking and get into the NCAA tournament. That would have been a massive accomplishment for that team. But I've been burned by some guys in the past who I've wanted to believe so much in the talent, but some of the off the court stuff just doesn't shake out. Years past, I was a huge Josh Jackson guy, and not necessarily comparing both of their situations. I don't think they're the same type of person, but obviously Josh had some maturing to do off the court before he could really handle furthering his NBA career. And now he is, speaking of the Detroit Pistons, he's making a good name for himself again in Detroit, but it's taken him a little while. So I question the type of people that Jalen Johnson would have around him in these situations when he's making these decisions. Are these decisions 100% his? So those are just some questions I have. And again, I'm not around the situation. We're not going to have the answers to those questions, but I leave that much open that there is some doubt in me to take him with like a 5th or a 6th pick, which is where I initially had him like preseason. That's the range I would have absolutely been comfortable taking him in because he's a big time talent.
Yeah, absolutely. So, final question I got to ask you, Nathan.
Trying to tell you it's okay.
So, who are your NBA draft sleepers? Who's your sleepers and the ones that we kind of need to look at? Maybe we're looking at maybe past lottery, maybe like some second round, late first round, second round kind of sleepers that that can make an impact.
I'll give you a good one. Josh Primo, guard out of Alabama. He has been climbing recently. Now that we kind of have some of his measurements, 6'5", combo guard out of Alabama, freshman from Canada. Didn't play a ton for Alabama, really got more of his run in the second half of the year, but you can just tell right away just by the eye test that this kid's going to be an NBA level guard. Has the ability to potentially score from all 3 levels of the court, still emerging as a passer, playmaker. He will have to improve at that part of the game, but as someone who I would want to bet on with a late first round pick, I've said for quite a while now, from the moment I first saw him very early on in the season, I thought that he was going to be a first round pick, and that buzz is finally bubbling back up. And I think that he's going to be someone that you see one of these playoff teams that don't necessarily have to rely on a rookie and bring them into the rotation right away. I think he's going to be a really good coup for somebody near the end of the first round.
Vacation Bible school.
Okay.
Everything went well.
And of course, don't forget about my man Joel Ayayi out of Gonzaga too. I don't see no first round buzz for him.
Oh, okay, then we'll do.
You want to talk about valuable role players, guys who aren't afraid to get down and dirty. They bring their lunch pail with them to work every day. Just very intelligent, savvy, can make plays off the bounce, can definitely shoot the ball from 3 when he's open. Those types of role players in the backcourt teams are always looking for as well. So he needs to get a little more first round buzz too.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely appreciate you. Nathan, for coming through. We definitely want to try to get you back on before the draft and do some more draft stuff for us, man. So tell them where they can find you on social media.
Okay. So you can follow us on Twitter at Draft Deeper. Definitely give us a good follow. We are always talking about basketball on that platform, whether it's the draft, whether it's these NBA playoffs we're about to get into. I got to go catch Hawks Bucks, but and then obviously subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, the whole 9 yards. So we appreciate your support. Thank you guys so much for having me on, and shout out Off the Ball Network. Chris, and all you guys have been great to me. So absolutely.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, man. Definitely follow this man. He know, hey man, we love what you're doing over there. So we definitely gonna have you on before the draft is for the draft in July. So definitely appreciate you, man. We'll talk with you.
Yes, sir. Take care, guys.
Right. See you later, man.
Yeah, definitely huge shout out to our guy Nathan from Draft Deeper. Great content. Definitely follow him on social media, Draft Deeper. He's doing his thing, and we'll definitely have him on once again before the draft. So, yeah, so final topic, we'll talk about